Hey guys, this is the first question on the quiz review. And what we're trying to do in this first problem is to calculate a probability. So just going back to basics, when you calculate a probability, you need a numerator and a denominator. So in this case, our denominator is going to represent the total number of ways in which this event can happen. And the event that we're looking at in this description is that she is choosing 4 out of 8 books. Okay, and since she's choosing them, we would use the NCR button on our calculator. Okay, we're making a selection, so order is not important. This is a combination. And so the total number of ways that I can choose 4 books, if there's 8 total, it would be 8C4. And if you type that into your calculator, you're going to come up with 70. Okay, so this number is important. That's going to be our denominator. And okay, now our numerator, on the other hand, is going to be what it is that we're looking for. So the number that we're trying to figure out is the probability that she chooses exactly 2 paperback books. So how can I choose 2 paperback books? Well, keep in mind the event is you're picking 4. So if I choose 2 paperback books, to complete the 4, I need 2 more books. So 2 paperback and 2 hardback books, what that's going to look like, keep in mind I can only choose paperbacks from paperbacks and hardbacks from hardbacks. So this is going to have 2 pieces to it. So to choose these 2 paperbacks out of the 6 available, I want to choose 2, and I have to choose 2 hardback books. Okay, now if you're looking at the mark scheme that I also posted, you're not going to see this piece in the mark scheme because this value equals 1. Okay, so it's kind of like irrelevant, but we didn't spend a ton of time going over the identities of all of these different combinations. So I always write everything out so that it adds up and it makes sense. And it's not going to kill you to multiply by 1. So if you do multiply this out and plug this into your calculator, you end up with a value of 15, okay? So that would be your numerator for your probability. All right, so you're ready to write your answer, and the probability that you choose exactly 2 paperback books, and you can be as formal as you want with this, but your probability is going to be 15 over 70, and that simplifies to be what we're looking for, which is 13 over 14, okay? And if you check your mark scheme, there are other ways to do this. There's not many, but that is what they're looking for, okay? So if you continue down to part B, they're going to ask you to draw up a probability distribution table for X. And X is going to represent the number of paperback books if you read the introduction. So the number of paperback books, let's think about this. What values can X take on? So this is set notation. We've discussed it before in the notes. And it lists all the different possibilities that X could be. Since this event that we're trying to figure out is we are choosing 4 books, the minimum number of paperbacks that I can select is 2. I can't select anything less than that because I don't have enough hardback books to complete a set of 4. So the smallest number of paperbacks I can pick is 2, and then 3, and then 4. And we max out at 4 because that's how many books that we can bring. And so we've already calculated the probability that X is equal to 2, that we bring 2 paperbacks, and that's from part A, which was 3 out of 14. And then if we keep going and we calculate the probability that X is 3, meaning that we bring 3 paperbacks. So let's think about this. Let's think about what we did to calculate that first probability. we had a numerator and a denominator. And our denominator was how many ways can we select 4 books? And that's still the denominator for this whole entire problem. But our numerator this time is going to be, out of those 6 paperbacks, I now want to choose 3. And from those 2 hardbacks, I need to select 1 in order to complete that set of 4. So if you type these in, the numerator is 40. And we already know that the denominator is 70 because we calculated that in the first part. So this comes out to be 4/7. Okay, and then keep going. So you've got the probability that x is equal to 4. And this is going to have a denominator, the same thing, 8 choose 4. And our numerator, this time we want to select 4 of those paperbacks, which means we want to select none of the hardbacks. So this numerator comes out to be 15, and the denominator is 70 once again. And that, as we know, simplifies to be 13/14. So now you have all of the probabilities to plug into your distribution table. So you have a lot of space on this problem, so I just went ahead and did it in this second part. And you have 2 rows. The top row are your x values, which we said could be 2, 3, or 4. And you can box this in if you want to. You don't have to. But you just fill everything in now. You've already done the hard work, but you do have to create a table. If you do not leave a table and you leave all those probabilities just as is, you will not get the points for the table. And last but not least, whenever you make a probability distribution table, just check to make sure that those probabilities add up to be 1, okay? And then the last part here is to calculate the variance of x. So by definition, the variance of x is the sum of all the x values squared times their corresponding probabilities minus the expected value squared. Now they give us the expected value, which is really important. But to calculate all these other pieces, this part in particular, I need to look at the table. So I'm going to scroll back up just a little bit so I can see that table, and then I can plug in all these values. So if I take, starting with the 2 right here, that x value squared, now I write it all out instead of trying to do it in my head because somebody has to grade this, so I don't want them guessing what is going on in my head. So just write this out, and then you can plug it into your calculator. And then subtract your expected value, which they provide, like I said, is 3. Square that and plug all that into your calculator, and you should come up with a value of 3/7. And that is your answer.